While it may not seem likely, a nuclear attack is still an existing threat, and the current situation with the war in Ukraine doesn't help. Imagine waking up one day, hearing in the news that the US and Europe are under a Russian nuclear attack. You are lucky enough and your town is not one of the targets. However, it's a matter of hours or even minutes for the radiation and the nuclear fallout to arrive there. What do you do? Before we dive in, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon so you never miss a video from us. Number 1. Prepare in advance. Given the fact that it is recommended to stay inside, ideally the shelter, for about 2 weeks from the moment of the attack, it's best to have some supplies put aside. This includes water, food, clothes, plastic bags, rubber gloves, first aid kit, hygiene items, and anything else you and your family will need to survive. When it comes to food, it's best to stock up on non-perishable foods like canned goods, flours, pasta, sugar, beans, and so on. The water should be stored in large plastic containers, away from any sunlight. You should have 1 gallon of water per person per day. Now, it's best to do a regular check of the food and water and replenish the stock when some of the expiration dates get close. Number 2. Find a shelter. We did mention the shelter before, but we didn't yet mention what this is per se. The shelter is a location, existent or especially created for such an event, where you should have access to the supplies and be protected from the radiation. The best nuclear shelter is underground, and the walls should be made of materials that are difficult to be penetrated by radiation, such as steel, rock, or concrete. If you have a basement in your home, you're covered. Otherwise, if you cannot find any other shelter, your next best bet would be to move to the center of your building as far as possible from the external walls and windows. Number 3. Keep in touch with the outside world. It is very important to have the possibility to get updates on the situation from the authorities or other survivors, but it's equally important to be able to send messages in the case you may need help. However, a nuclear blast will most likely render most modern communication systems unusable, so you'll have to focus on traditional ones like emergency and ham radios. You should also keep the phone close by in the case the phone towers are restored in the area. It also helps to get a solar charger for all the devices you want to use. Number 4. Get medical supplies. These can make the difference between life and death, and you must think ahead. The first aid kit is a must-have, but you should also include over-the-counter pain relief drugs, disinfectants, bandages, ointments, and any other prescription drugs you may need. In the case of a nuclear attack, not only will there not be any open pharmacies, but the ones that remain standing will be looted during the first few days, so be fast and get them in the first few minutes that you can. Number 5. Take a bath. If you need to go outside for any reason, make sure to take a bath using soap when you come back and change your clothes to avoid radiation poisoning. You must certainly wash your hair too, however, make sure not to use conditioner since it might trap radioactive particles. Number 6. Stay inside. If there was a nuclear attack and you managed to reach the shelter, don't leave it for at least 48 hours. This is the crucial period when radiation is the strongest. After 2 hours, the level of radiation is reduced by half, and it will reduce progressively as the time passes. Specialists recommend staying inside for at least 2 weeks, but if you absolutely must go outside, avoid the first 48 hours. Number 7. Cover your mouth and nose. After the first 1 or 2 weeks, you can go outside for short periods, but even though external contamination will be unlikely to be a serious threat, the radioactive particles that get lodged into wounds or inside your lungs can be deadly. So before you go outside, you must cover your mouth and nose. Unless you have a nuclear-grade face mask, your next best bet would be a big wet cloth like a t-shirt that you can use to cover your mouth, nose, and probably ears too. Number 8. Help other survivors. You can't rebuild the world on your own, and compassion is a powerful human trait. So if you meet other survivors, offer them a place in your shelter if you have enough supplies. If not, at least offer them treatment and care for their wounds. Radiation poisoning or burnt skin is not contagious. So what do you think? Would you survive the post-nuclear world? Hopefully this will never happen, but in any case, tell us what you would do in a situation like this. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Have an awesome day.